offering my loving salutations at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Most beloved and dearest Bhagwan, respected members of the organizing committee, brothers and sisters, thank you for having me here and giving me this privilege of sharing Swami's reflection in the pool of my experiences. And yes, thank you, Balu, for keeping this step. I almost thought you removed it. 100 years of Sathya Sai. What does it mean? 100 years, a century. I often wonder, God had to take 3 avatars and spanning 3 centuries. That's how deep man has fallen. To retrieve him, God has to take 3 avatars. Anyway, coming to the beginning, many occasions there were when Swami would ask me to speak in Brindavan, and in those informal sessions, Swami would call me by various names. He would say, Ravi Shankar, get up, speak, or Ravi Kumar, get up and speak, or Ravi, get up and speak, or Chota Bhai Patel, lay. One day he said, hey, 3 mangoes, get up. And I wondered, what is this 3 mangoes? There's a new name I have got. Then Swami asked me, do you know why I called you 3 mangoes? I said, no, Swami. Anyway, it's whichever way Swami calls you, it's fruitful. No, Swami, I said. He said, if you keep 3 mangoes one on top of the other, that's your height. That's why I called you 3 mangoes. But when God does something, its value is eternal. Many people ask me this, how do you experience Swami even after the physical frame is not perceptible? I had gone to a village near Ramagundam during one of my holidays to speak about Swami. Someone realized that my Telugu needs to be kind of sharpened. So a rural setting is better. And so they took me to the village to speak in Telugu. And as they introduced me, I went up to the podium. They said, sir, just a minute. You'll have to light a lamp before you speak. That is the tradition here. I said, okay, fine. Went to the lamp. They brought a matchbox. And the interesting thing was, what was on that match? The matchbox was 3 mangoes. It was Swami's way of reminding me that it is he who is calling me to speak. So the 3 mangoes name which he gave me at that time continues to give me the same bliss to this day. We will start at the beginning. Yeah, we always start with Ganesha. So let me start with a small story on Lord Ganesha. In the Sathya Sai hostels, we celebrate all the festivals with lot of love, lot of joy. And it's one more occasion when you remember Swami with great affection. And so the Ganesh Chaturthi festival was drawing close. And the students went to the warden and said, "Sir, we want to make idols of Ganesha." The warden said, "No, no." They wanted to get clay from a lake nearby, Hoskote Lake, to make these idols. And the warden said, "No, no, these clay idols that you make are not baked, and therefore they start cracking. And doing a worship to a cracked idol is not auspicious. And therefore, this year I thought we will buy these idols from outside and worship." The boys were heartbroken, but the warden was quite clear about it. And he said, "No, nothing doing. This time we are buying ready-made baked idols of Krishna, of Ganesha." And then there was a phone call from Puttaparthi. Because, always we have learnt one thing. Make your prayers to the Supreme Court. Directly ask Swami, and prayers are answered. And therefore, these boys had prayed, and Swami asked the warden to come to Puttaparthi. When he went to Puttaparthi, Swami asked him, "So, I was just wanted to tell you, the bags of rice which have come, there are two varieties." Could have been told on the phone. But he called him there, and then he said, "Just wanted to tell you that, keep them separately," and give him some instructions. After that, Swami slowly broached the topic. "So, what are the boys saying?" And warden said, "Swami, boys are all very happy." "Yeah, what are they doing?" "Swami, they are studying." And Swami thought he knew where he was driving at, so he directly asked, "Ganesh Chaturthi is coming. So, what are boys saying?" "Swami, the students had come and asked me permission for making Ganesha idols. So I told them that they should make the idols, we are going to buy the idols." Then Swami said, "No, this year also, let the boys make the idols. Let the boys get the joy of making the idols and worshipping them." And so naturally, the warden came back and announced it, much to everyone's joy. And so the next hostel, which was not yet occupied, they decided to make this, the art group of boys. So early next morning, they put a platform, 4 bricks, one platform. They took a trowel of that clay. And as they put it after chanting Ganesh Gayatri and Sai Gayatri, suddenly from somewhere one rat came and went inside. And they said, "Hey, let's pause this a bit, drive the rat, because you don't know, it might nibble at your feet and all when you're doing." They said, No, we have started. You should not have any dvitiya vignam. Let's continue." So they continued making this idol. It took about a week to make the idol. I have just shown a slide of some of the idols boys have made. You can see how artistic and how beautiful it is. And so it took a week for them to make. And after they made these idols, they lifted the idol to take it just before Suprabhatam on Ganesh Chaturthi day. And to their surprise, this rat went out from below the platform. So for 1 week, it had been there below the platform. God knows how it ate or what it did. But for 1 week, it had been there silently, and then it ran out. Of course, this was very exciting, but in the midst of all these festivities, those boys did not tell anything to us on that day. The next day, Swami came from Prashanti Nilayam. Even as he got down from the car, Swami asked, "Hey, how was Ganesh Chaturthi?" "Swami, it was very grand." Swami looked at one of the boys who was involved in this, who had said that rat would nibble at the feet. And Swami asked him, ఒక ఎలుక పంపించాను, వచ్చిందా? I sent one rat, did it come? We didn't know it was God's representative there. You know? But that is how Swami is. He's all the while taking care of us, and he's present with us in all that we do. So when we talk of 100 years of Swami, it's not just 100 years. You know? Every second of those 100 years for every one of us. No, that's why they say that even if you take the earth as a parchment and if you take the ocean as the ink, still you will not be able to write down the glories of the Lord. It is because each one of us has so much that it is impossible to put it down on paper. Okay, now we'll go back a little to this. Yeah. Now, in this photograph, you can see the background, the hostel where I studied, the Brindavan hostel. It was a car garage turned into a hostel. And this was a beautiful home where we lived. I joined Brindavan when there were about 60 students. And Swami said that, you know, Swami knew every student by name, by background, even by the dress we wore. Swami would say, why are you wearing his shirt? Like that, you know, he knew us so thoroughly. And he would come to our hostel every single day. There was not a day that he did not come, in the morning and evening. In the morning he would come, he would spend a couple of hours with us. In the evening he would come, he would spend again a couple of hours with us. And then of course we would be in the mandir the rest of the time, spending all the time with Swami. So this was the beautiful time that we had with Swami. I remember that one particular morning, Swami came to the hostel. He would just drop in like that. You know, in those days, Brindavan was kind of secluded. There was hardly any traffic in that road. You know, if one bicycle goes like this, the next bicycle would come back after 2 hours, 3 hours, like that. Today, of course, the traffic is so much that somebody was saying, if you have to cross the road, you have to be born on the other side. So, Swami would just walk in. The gates would be locked. Nobody would be allowed, primarily because there were a lot of snakes. And therefore, evenings, they would lock the gate. And in fact, talking of gates, in front of the hostel, you can see a tiled structure. That is where a gentleman lived, an old gentleman lived. Even when I joined, he was there. His name was M.S. Dikshit. He was his uncle was Kaka Sahib Dikshit, who had lived with Shirdi Sai. And so, the Kaka Sahib Dikshit was a very great solicitor and a great devotee of Lord Shirdi Sai. And it is said that he was handicapped, and someone took him to Shirdi Sai and told him, you pray to him. And he said, yeah, Lord, remove the lameness of my mind. That's what he prayed. That was the level at which he started, you can imagine. Very great devotee. And this nephew of his told him, uncle, I have this migraine, you know, half headache. And therefore, I need some cure for this. So Kaka Sahib Dikshit took him to Shirdi. And Baba was sitting there next to the Duni. And Kaka Sahib Dikshit explained. And Baba just called this boy and gave him a tight hit on the head like that. And gave him vibhuti, ash, udi. This boy was about 7-8 years. He came out and he told his uncle, I'll never come to this Baba again because he hit me. And then his uncle said, no, he has hit your headache, not you. And so, after that, he never had headache. That's taken. A few months later, he went to Shirdi Sai for darshan. And he found that at the gate, there was this Madhavraj Deshpande, Shama as used to be called. He was a teacher who was there in the school next door and who never used to believe in Shirdi Sai. But one day a snake bit him, and when he was carried, in those days they never had any doctors or anyone. So when he was brought to this place, the Baba said, "Hey, Brahmin, get down. Don't climb up, get down." And he was heartbroken because Baba was the only refuge in that faraway village, and he himself was turning him out. And then Mahalaspati tells him, Baba used to always talk in riddles like this, says he's not telling you, he's telling the venom not to rise because it should not touch the heart. That's the idea. So he became a great devotee, and he was standing at the gate regulating the crowds which were coming. This kid thought just like all kids think, pure, innocent. He said, everyone is coming and going, but this uncle alone is standing there all the time. So I should ask Baba that I'll become a Sevadal, watchman. So he went to Baba and said, Baba, I want to be your gatekeeper. Baba said, Abhinay, not now. And a few months later, Baba took Mahasamadhi, and this person grew up, and he heard about Sathya Sai being a reincarnation of Swami and of Shirdi Sai, and came to Patti. And he saw Swami on the terrace, on the balcony, in the first floor. And he thought, Shirdi Baba wore such coarse cloth with so many holes, and this person is wearing silk. Looks more like movie star. That's what he thought. Swami in the discourse that day said, there are some people here who think that I look like a movie star. And then called him for an interview. And straight away put his hand in his pocket and took out a photo and said, this is Kaka Sahib Dikshit, your uncle, my devotee. And then he said, your uncle wrote down what I said many months later. I had said, I will come after 8 years, but he wrote that Baba said he will come as a lad of 8 years. I came after 8 years. I was born after 8 years, 1918, 1926. Okay. Yeah, why I said this was, in that tiled house he used to stay. And Swami had given him the gate keys. He said, you wanted to be a gatekeeper, take the keys. And so whenever Swami's car used to come, he used to run and open the gate. And one day he was explaining to us that this is how I got this privilege. What was asked in that avatar, I got it in this avatar. So God's delays are never his denials. Okay. So in this hostel where we stayed, Swami would come in any time. One early morning, in those days, early morning used to be really early. Like our Suprabhatam was at 4:45. And Brindavan used to be quite chill, of course by Indian standards. Here I think you wouldn't consider it chill. Swami had come to the hostel and he noticed that all of us were making chapatis, puris that day. And Swami asked, Em chestunara, he asked. And we said, Swami, we are making puris. He said, this looks like some map of the world. Doesn't look like puri. And then he asked for a tiffin carrier lid. And he said, you make it the way you make. I'll make it the way it should be. And then he kind of rotated the thing, took out the extra, put it back and said, see, you don't waste anything, you can reuse it. And then Swami took one boy's puri and folded it into half and kind of tapped the edges, semicircle. And he gave it to our cook. We had a cook, Ramarao, who lived to be 100 years. He just passed away a few years back. This gentleman, very devoted, he said, Swami, he understood what Swami wanted. This looked like a sweet, which we called as kajikaya. So he said, Swami, Purnam pettaledu, Swami. He said, Swami, that sweet, that Purnam is not put inside. Parvaledu, Swami said. Doesn't matter. You fry it. So he fried it, took it out and cooled it and gave it to Swami. Swami broke it open and inside that sweet was there, that Purnam was there. And then Swami just said this. He said, Chuda Ramarao, Denni nen muttano adi Purnam aipotundi. Whatever I touch becomes complete, Purnam. That's why we talk of this Upanishadic prayer, no? Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. That is full, this is full. From that full, if you remove this full, what is left is also full. Very confusing. I used to think, how is it possible? If you remove something from something, both of them will become less than what they were. But then Swami gave a very beautiful explanation, like only Swami can give. He said, there is a shop in which a person is selling jaggery. And that jaggery has sweetness. Somebody comes and buys 1 kg of jaggery from that. Maybe in your language, 1 pound of jaggery from that. And this jaggery also has that sweetness. When he takes this jaggery home, that is sweet. What is left behind is also sweet. So it was a qualitative way of looking at the same shlokam. So that is sweet, this is sweet. When you take away that sweet from this sweet, what remains continues to be sweet. Okay, so again we go back to one more Ganesha story. In slide please. Yeah, that is the Kajikaya sweet I was talking about on the left. Yeah, I must add one addition to this. How Swami shows that he is always present. It's not only then when he had the physical form. This Ganesha is very dear to me. This Ganesha whom you see here is a temple in Bangalore called Dodda Ganesh. This Ganesha idol is 18 feet. It is there from Krishna Devaraya's time, a very old temple. And in the suburb around it, my mother grew up. It's called Basavanagudi. There's also a huge Nandi there in that place. Okay, so she grew up in around this temple, and so she got married. She got 3 daughters, and then she was back home when she was carrying me. And so she used to go to the temple every day. And there was an old lady in this temple, the priest's mother, quite an old lady. One day she got talking to my mother, and she said, you come to this temple every day and you pray so fervently. What is it you're praying? And she said, I have got 3 daughters and I want a son. That's what I am praying to Ganesha for. And that old lady had her own ways of dealing. So what she said was, Ganesha, Nodo, Ganesha, look, I have got an old broom. Okay. Better fulfill her prayer, otherwise the broom will be put to work. Maybe because of that I came. Okay. So one birthday, somewhere around 2015, on the eve of my birthday, suddenly I had this idea that I must go to this temple. So I went to this temple. It was my birthday. I spent some time praying to the Lord, and I was very happy. It is about 35 kilometers from where I stay. When I finished and I did namaskar, the Purohit came from inside, the priest came from inside and said, just a minute. He went inside and brought a brown cover and gave it to me. And what do you think was inside when I opened it? Kajikaya. it was Swami's way of showing, I have touched your life and it has become complete. That joy of having been in the Lord's presence is what makes life complete. Okay. Now, one of the questions that people ask whenever devotees meet is, how did you come to Swami? Because they know that everyone will have a unique way of coming to the Lord, some unique story. Shirdi Baba used to say that the sparrow catcher has the sparrows tied to his fingers, by a thread. Whenever he wants to draw a particular sparrow, he'll pull it like that. And that is what happens to all of us. When the Lord wants to draw us close to himself, he draws one of those strings. In one context, one day when Swami was talking to me, Swami said, I bring people to me in various ways. Okay? It is by some disaster, by some health issue, by some dissatisfaction. So these are the threads that he uses to draw us, because the moment we think that we are fulfilled, we would never look at God. There has to be some deficiency. There has to be some deep need which you feel only God can fulfill. And that's how we come to him. And this is what happened in the 60s, 1960s. This is how our family came to Swami. I narrated this many times. Please bear with me if you have heard it earlier. But the Lord's story is so beautiful that you can tell it multiple times and still it will give you the same joy. My father fell ill and he went to the local doctor. The local doctor was a family doctor and he gave him some medicine. In those days, the medicines did not have the sugar coating that we have, capsules and all that. In those days, they used to be very bitter. They used to be liquids. And after that, after falling sick once, you will think twice before you want to fall sick again. It used to be that bitter. But here was this medicine given to him. He became okay in 3 days. He went back to office. Within a week, again he fell sick. And this family doctor, we had a family doctor who used to attend to all the ailments. Today you have specialization. In those days, it was not like that. The doctor would attend to everything related to your, not only ill health, even he would be a sounding board for the parents. I want my son to do medicine. I want my daughter to do engineering. What would you suggest? He was like that. So this doctor, after 2-3 times, he told my father, this looks more serious than I thought. I'll refer you to a friend of mine. You go to him and he will take it forward. And that is how my father went to Silver Jubilee Institute. This institute, there was a doctor who took a sample for biopsy, and after a week, he said, he called my father and said, you have cancer. In those days, telling you have cancer was like telling that your ticket is booked one way. There was a doctor who told this patient, I have good news and bad news. Which do you want to hear first? And the patient said, good news, please. The doctor said, you are going to live for 3 weeks. Oh my God, if that is the good news, what's the bad news? He said, the bad news is, I should have told you this 2 weeks back. So it is like that. Once you're told that you have cancer, it is almost like everything is gone. My father was very worried. He came back home and, we were 4 children. Father was the breadwinner in the family. And my eldest sister was still in medical school. She was doing her MBBS, as they call it there. And therefore, as she was studying there, the doctor called her and told, just a procedure and your father will be fine. This doctor, this doctor referred him to a surgeon. And that surgeon was the best in Bangalore that time. He was a FRCS, a young man. His name was Dr. Kalappa. And my father went to him and he said, "Oh, nothing to worry. I will take care of you. Don't worry. Just one surgery and you should be fine." And so my father was admitted and the surgery was done. And after the surgery was over, he was asked to come for a review, discharged and asked to come for a review after a couple of weeks. When he went there, the doctor said, I feel that surgery has not gone the way I expected. We need to do one more surgery. And so the second surgery was done, then the third, the fourth, the fifth, the 10th, the 15th, the 20th, and the 25th. We didn't know that we were going to Silver Jubilee Institute to have a Silver Jubilee of this kind. But anyway, that's what happened, and the doctor now decided to tell my sister the truth. He said, this cancer has outstripped the knife, and I have done all that I know, and better take your father home. Let him die in peaceful surroundings. It's just a matter of few days. That's what he told my sister. So she brought him home, and in the afternoon she went to her class, medical school. When you are in medical school, you can't afford to miss class, because later on when you are doing the operation, you may find some new part there which you left out in choice. So she went for class that day in the afternoon, and she was sitting in a corner very depressed. She was wondering how we would move forward with father being in this kind of a situation. One of her classmates came to her and said, "Kamakshi, I know why you're depressed, but don't worry, there is hope. There's somebody whom I know who will cure your father. And he lives in a place called Whitefield. Come, we'll go and have his darshan." And the bus stop was just next to the medical college, and so they got into a bus, went straight to Brindavan. My sister had Swami's darshan and came back home late. Because she was late, my father asked her, "What happened? Why are you late?" And then my sister said, "Appa, I went and saw God today." That's what she said. "And you also come. He will cure you." My father said, he just dismissed it off. I'll tell in Tamil, because if there are anyone among you who know Tamil, you'll appreciate it. Podi podi idella namba maten. I don't believe all this nonsense. That's what he said. He said, "I have always been a believer in God, and if the God whom I have worshipped all these years does not save me, is not inclined to save me, importing the photo of another God into the altar will not change matters. Why will he save me, and how will he save me?" That was his logic. But logic doesn't work, you see. Even when you are in tragic circumstances, you try to be logical. But here was Swami, who decided that he must save. One member in the family prays, that is enough. Swami told us one day in Sai, if one person in a family makes me happy, for 7 generations I take care. That's what he said. And he said, even if you make a promise and break the promise, this is what Swami said, your file will keep moving. That is from his side, he will never give us up. That's what he said. Okay, so this is what happened, and my father dismissed the whole idea. But once Swami decides to save you, who can prevent that? So a few days later, a letter came from the central government office in which my father was working. And this letter said, "You have been drawing salary from it was a central government office, for 6 months, but we have not seen you at all. So we would like you to come and take your salary check personally." So my father was forced to go. What do? You have to get your salary check. And so he was forced to go, and when he went there, the director who was there said, "How did you come?" He said, "I came by public transport." In those days, in Bangalore, it was very difficult to get buses, public transport. Someone said, in the rest of the country, we drive on the left of the road. In Bangalore, we drive on what is left of the road. So those days we had a lot of buses and no roads, and now we have a lot of roads, but a lot of buses, but no roads. In those days, there were a lot of roads and no buses. So he had taken a lot of effort to go to the office, and he was very tired. So the doctor said, okay, there is one gentleman who has come from abroad who wants to meet somebody. Okay, I don't know much about Bangalore because I am from New Delhi. Since you're from Bangalore, why don't you take this gentleman, let him meet that person? You can go in the office car. The office car can drop you. That was the carrot. The office car can drop you. And this person lives in a place called Whitefield. His name is Sai Baba. So my father was so wonderstruck. So Sai Baba comes into the conversation again within a week, and he readily agreed. Not really because he wanted to meet Sai Baba, but because the office car would drop him home. So he went there, and after as soon as they entered, they realized that they were late for darshan. Swami had already finished darshan, and Swami was moving into the old bungalow. And my father felt that the hopes which had again, kind of been sparked off by the director's comment that he was in Whitefield, that hope which had been sparked off now again, it was receding from him. But it was such a cool and nice place, and so they thought they will sit for a few minutes. One volunteer, there was no Sevadal at that time, the volunteer came and said, Swami has finished darshan. He will come back only in the evening, and if at all, in those days, evening darshan was not sure. So you can leave. Then they said, no, we want to wait for a few minutes and then go. And so they waited for just 5 minutes, and then the gates of the bungalow opened, the inner gates. Actually, those were not gates which opened. It was as if our life was to be opened again to joy and happiness, because from inside, Swami came out. And he was walking very fast. When Swami comes to save you, he's at full speed. He's coming full speed. And as he was right near them, about 10 feet away, he was saying something. So my father thought that this gentleman is the devotee. So he kept looking at him. But Swami was talking in Kannada. He was asking, why did you have 25 operations? Swami knows the question which will immediately identify you. Why did you have 25 operations? So my father knew it was about him. Swami said, the doctor is saying you'll die of cancer. You will not die of cancer. Your cancer is cancelled. That's what Swami said. And then of course, after that my father, he created vibhuti and gave it to him and said, eat this. And within a few days, he was back on his feet. He went back to the hospital, went back to the office, and he continued working. He retired. Swami re-employed him, what Swami called retires. He retired him and put him in Sanatan Sarthi Press, and he continued to work there. He lived for 39 years after that. So you can imagine what it means, because when I was speaking in Cardiff once, there were a set of doctors whom I was addressing. One of them came to me and said, "You know what a fantastic miracle this is." He said, "If we extend the life of a cancer patient by 3 months, we think it's a great miracle." And you're saying your father lived for 39 years after that. And quality life. See, this is the beauty. Till the last day, I should say till the last minute, because it's a very interesting thing, the way things panned out. My father was very healthy. On the day, on that particular day, he got up in the morning at 4. He had his bath, went for Naga Sankirtan, came back, had his breakfast, and he told my sister, "I'm going for darshan." I mean, just to show that it's just an ordinary, it was just like an ordinary day. In our room, we have a mirror on the door. And my father always had the habit of looking into the mirror and adjusting his hair. And he would ask, "Is it combed properly? Is my hair combed properly?" And my sister, without even looking, she said, "Yes, yes, it is." It's just a practice, you know. And so my father came out from there. He came down. There was somebody who met him and said, "Uncle, where are you going so fast?" And he said, "I'm going for darshan." And he came to the ground floor. You know, at the ground floor, he turns towards the Yajur Mandir. Swami had just moved into the Yajur Mandir a couple of months before that. And he did namaskar, said Sai Ram, and fell down. And somebody ran to my sister. There's a very interesting thing aside. I should tell you that. I will tell you in a few minutes. But somebody ran to my sister and told, "Your father has fallen down." So she thought he has fainted. Because he was very healthy, he was talking. You know, he was living in the second floor. He would walk up and down 10 times in a day, and I would ask him, "Why do you walk up so many times?" He would say, "That's good exercise," he used to say. "You should also try that." Okay. So, my sister brought a glass of water to sprinkle, thinking that he has fainted. But there was no reaction. And even as she was petrified, not knowing what to do, she found somebody carrying a stretcher. Coming there, she asked, "For whom is it?" That person said, "It's for this gentleman who has fallen down. Just now the ambulance has come to park, and they have not even switched off the ambulance. You know, so we have come to take him to the hospital." So within 5 minutes, he was in the general hospital, and the doctors said that he has reached Swami's lotus feet. That is how healthy he was. I always like to say this, that when you win the grace of the Lord, He takes care of your welfare. You know, Ananyas chintayanto mam ejanam paryupasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam mahamyaham. If someone thinks of me all the time, Krishna says, I take care of his welfare, his day-to-day needs. You know, so God takes care of your welfare, but He also takes care of your farewell when you have to live. You know, He makes sure that it's a pleasant farewell. And so that is what happened on that day. And when you have the grace of the Lord, as you know, everything you have Swami's blessings, you have everything. There's one more dimension to this, which we got to know almost 11 years later. You know, there was a Sevadal person from Himachal Pradesh who was on duty. And when my sister passed that gate, he called her and said, "Are you not Tyagarajan's daughter?" She said, "Yes, sir, I'm Tyagarajan. I want to tell you something because I'm coming after 11 years," he said, "for duty." He was a BSF person, a Border Security Force person. He said, "When your father passed away, I was on the scene here. And I want to tell you something which happened that time." And he told my sister, I was on duty here and I suddenly saw your father falling down. So I rushed. When I rushed to find out what has happened, I saw that he was sprawled on the floor, so I rushed to the police chowk here, not knowing what to do. And when I went there, they said, "We don't know what to do, please go to the security gate." And so I was about to go to the security gate, then I thought nobody's there near the gate. Maybe somebody else will convey, and so I came back. And I found Swami standing there. And Swami, as soon as I reached that place, Swami turned to me and said, why are you looking so worried? Everything is arranged. That's what Swami told him. Everything is arranged, don't worry. Tumko kya chahiye, Swami asked. What do you want? And he said, Baba, humko moksha chahiye. I want moksha. And then Swami said, Mamta chodo moksha milega. Give up attachment, you will get moksha. Okay. So this is what happened. And then Swami turned. Swami created a lingam and gave it to him. Okay. So he showed my sister that lingam, and my sister was very thrilled. And that night she rang me up because I was in my lecture. So in the night she rang me up and he said, something fantastic has happened. And she told me all this. And then I asked, is the gentleman still there? She said, no, afternoon he left for his hometown. His duty got over. Okay, very nice. Did you get his phone number? No, I didn't get his phone. Did you get his address? No, I didn't get his address. But I got his name, she said. I said, very good. At least that you got. And then, I'm a student of science. Okay. I always like hard evidence, right? So that summer, our entire family, we went to Himachal Pradesh. We scanned through the list of all the Sevadal who had come, and we found this gentleman's name in that July month. And so then we found out his address. We put GPS and went 100 miles, to his village, a village called Galore. And then we spotted this gentleman and spoke to him, and I heard the whole thing from his lips. And of course, asked him for that lingam also, which he readily gave it to us and said, this is the lingam that Swami gave. So you see, Swami takes care of you in multiple ways. One day when I was narrating this incident in Swami's presence, and when I finished it, Swami said, Sariga cheppaledu. You didn't tell this properly. No, this is an incident I have told so many times that even if you wake me up from coma and ask me to tell, I can narrate it. I don't need any preparation. So I was wondering what went wrong. And then Swami said, our doctor em cheppinadu. What did the doctor say when your father went to him? I said, Swami, the doctor said, I will save you, don't worry. Just one. Then Swami said, do you know, the doctor passed away before your father. So that is how it is. Okay. Till what time I was supposed to be? 10:40. Okay, right. Thank you. Okay. So another day, when I was narrating this incident, Swami again said, I said, so that is how we came to Swami in 1968. Swami looked at me and said, 1963, he said. So I said, 1963. You don't correct the all-knowing. No. So as I sat down, Swami said, hey, Ravi, do you remember the day your mother passed away? I said, yes, Swami. What do you remember? I said, Swami, I remember her body was kept there. I remember even this green sari she was wearing. What else do you remember? Swami, that's all I remember. I was just 4.5 years. Okay. Then Swami said, I will tell you. In the evening, your cousin, I had a cousin who was just 2 months older than me, but he thought that he was much sharper than me. So he said, you know what? You're going to take your mother in procession. And we lived near a temple. And in this temple, processions were common and it was festive. They burst crackers and they have Nadaswaram and band and all that. So I was very happy. I said, oh, so nice. I said, but there's only one snag. They won't bring her back. That's what he said. So you can imagine the ruckus I would have created. And so they took me to a house across the street. That was my mother's cousin's house. So as soon as we entered, we saw Swami's photo there. I was seeing Swami's photo for the first time. And so my tears evaporated, being distracted, That was their idea. So I asked, Yaar in the mami, who is this auntie? And that auntie told me, "Idu mami illa, idu Swami." This is not some auntie, this is God. You pray to him and he will take care of you. Swami told me, from that moment I am taking care of you. So you came to me in 1963. So even before the rest of the family had come, Swami's eyes had fallen on me and he had taken care. Okay. So I joined Swami's college. Cutting a long story short, I joined Swami's college. Swami used to say, water is life. Water is symbolic of life. And maybe that's why I paused. Because when you come to Swami's college, you start living. This is what happens to your life. So what happened was I joined Swami's college. This is before I joined Swami's college. There is this question which people ask, what is true education? What is the purpose of education? What is the essence of education? Lot of talk goes around, We don't know exactly what education should achieve, But when you come near Swami, you see that Swami educates us. How does he educate us? In a very, very different way from what we are used to. I had joined a school, a high school in grade 7. Okay. And this school, grade 8, I had just passed grade 7. This school was a very old school. It was 100 years the year I joined that school. There were centenary celebrations of that school. And the very first day, as we entered the class, the teacher came and told us about the syllabus and various things, which teacher would take which period and so on. After the teacher left the class, 3 students who were there behind came and stood in the front and asked, "Do you know who we are?" We said, "Of course not. You're not that famous yet." And they said, "We are your seniors." Then one of the, when you join a place, you are quite smart. So this fellow asked, "If you are our senior, why are you sitting in our class?" Those fellows said, "We have done 8th standard 3 times." That means they were doing PhD in 8th standard itself. So they said, "We want to educate you about the school. What do you know about the school? We'll have a quiz." So we had a quiz. What is special about the school? "Oh, this school is 100 years old." Very nice. My uncles had studied there, and many people whom I knew had studied there. So, okay. Then they said, "What else?" Shankaracharya says, when you're young, what attracts you is games. Balastavat krida saktaha. You're very, very much attached to game. So we said it has a big playground. And the playground was so big that they used to have circus and all that. Okay. And they said, no, beyond that, what do you have? We couldn't think beyond the ground what was there. And they said, actual classrooms are there only. The real classrooms are there. Oh, we thought here, this is the school. They said, no, the real classrooms are there, because here if you sit, you get only sleep in the classes. But if you sit there, you can become intelligent like that, you can pick up things very fast. Oh, is it so? Yes. Then after that period, we went around to find out what was there beyond. And we found there were 3 movie theaters. Okay. One was Ajanta, the other was Sri, and one more theater. Okay. In one of them, they used to put Hindi movies, the other one English, and the other one Kannada movies. We are all very excited from that day. You know how such good advice goes straight to your heart. You know, peer pressure didn't start today. It started those days. It was just the subject has changed. Okay, so from the next day, this school was meant only for giving attendance. Then we would jump out to the French windows, which didn't have bars, and go attend the real class there. And this continued for some time, till one day one of the boys said, "Hey, I think this is not correct here." You know, he said, "Yeah, correct, yeah, what you're saying is correct." He said, "No, yeah, it's not fair. There are 7 days in a week and we are seeing only 6 movies. We should do some corrective action we should take." He said, "Hey, can't go for a movie on Sunday. How do you explain to your parents?" In fact, one of those days, my father had come back from office soon, and I had one of my classmates with me. My father asked, "Why are you late?" And I said, "Special class." And this fellow was holding my hand, held it tighter. After my father went, he said, "Hey, you're telling lies like a professional." And I told him, "No, it's a white lie. You know, in lie also you have colors." White lie. I said, what he told was very correct. "You said it's a special class, but we didn't have any special class." I said, "Of course not. In the regular class, you have only fans. Here you have air condition. Okay. In the regular class, you have benches, and here you have sofa. So it's special class." So that fellow said, "You will never improve." Okay. Okay, so it continued like this. On Thursdays, things were different. I would wear white dress and that vibhuti mark, and the Bal Vikas teacher would be floored. And she would even tell others, "You should all become like Ravi." So it continued like this. I thought education would be as enjoyable as this. Till one day, we went to Brindavan. And Swami came to my father and said, "Go inside." There was a compound wall, and inside was Swami's bungalow. Swami had called us for interview, obviously. So my father said, Come, Swami's called us for interview." He was so full of enthusiasm that he didn't notice that I was not so enthusiastic. This is because I knew what Swami's interview is like. One of the days, my Bal Vikas teacher was telling about Swami's interview, and I asked her, "What is so special about interview? Just 3-4 people sit there, they ask you all kinds of weird questions, and if you manage to crack that, they give you a seat." And she said, No, it's not like that. Swami's interviews are different. He doesn't ask you questions. He gives you answers. Now, I was worried he might give me answers. And so I was scared to go. But my father was very, he was very, very keen. So I just followed him. We went and stood in a line inside. Okay, as we stood in a line there, Swami came. I was the first in the line. I must have been all of 4 feet that time. And Swami looked at me and patted me and told my father, "Good boy." My father was ecstatic. Swami had called me a good boy. Swami had called me a good boy. And Swami had called me a good boy in front of so many people. All these things made him extremely happy. But that was nothing compared to my happiness. I thought even he does not know. Till now, that worry was there. Maybe he knows. And now, confirmed, he also doesn't know. He is also thinking that I'm a good boy. The moment I thought like this, Swami called my father and asked, "Where are your other members of the center?" "Swami, they are outside." "Go and call them," he said. Dispatched my father. Then he looked at me and he said, "Come forward." See, when you come near Swami, there's always progress only. And how compassionate. Why did he call me forward? Because till now, everyone could hear whatever he told me. It was worth hearing. Now what he was going to tell me was meant only for me. So he said, and then he repeated, good boy, he said. I tried to put as much a pan face as I could. And then next thing Swami asked, good boy? That exclamation mark had become a question mark. So I am thinking, you said it. You already committed to my being a good boy. Now you can't go back. No reverse gear in this. And then Swami said, I decided to be silent. In this Balvikas, they teach you all the silent sitting and all. Very useful techniques. So, Swami said, where were you yesterday? Quick thinking, no? I said, Swami, yesterday was Saturday. Swami said, Telsu. I know. If today is Sunday, yesterday must have been Saturday. But where were you? I'm not saying anything. Better not open our mouth and yield information. So I kept quiet. And after a few seconds, maybe 10, 15 seconds, Swami said, shall I tell you? I'm thinking, why not? If you know, go ahead. Do you need my permission? And then Swami said, yesterday you were in Ajanta Theatre. My heart sank. So he knows about Ajanta Theatre also. Then he said, you were in the last but one row. You were with your friends. He named the friends. And all three of you were watching Katti Patang. Asha Parekh, Rajesh Khanna. And then he's saying, do you need more information? And more information? What more information would you need? So I'm just thinking, Father is coming from there. I can see him approaching. And this is not a time to ask more information. It's not a time to give any information, actually. I can picturize, in that couple of seconds, my father would come here and Swami would tell him, this fellow, you thought he's a good boy. Actually, he cuts classes. And the result would be, my father's faith in Swami's divinity would be strengthened. He would do Shashang Pranam and say, Swami, you are God. I was sure of this. And then, of course, it would be a red letter day for me at home. My father was quite strict and he didn't spare the belt. Okay, so that's what I thought. The moment my father comes, Swami pats me again and tells my father, good boy. But, he adds this, but I am telling him to have good company. Today we call this a satsang. He has kept me in that good company all these years. Whenever God does something, it is so poetic. Katti Patang itself means a runaway kite. A kite whose strings have got cut. When a kite's strings get cut, what happened? The kite its control is lost. It can fall in a road. It can fall on cow dung. Somebody can stamp on it. It can fall on a thorny bush, whatever. But when the Lord picks up that Katti Patang and ties the thread to his feet, he gives a direction. He gives a purpose. He gives a meaning to your life. And today, if he has brought me here, it is because of that compassion. As he called us for interview, everyone, we all went inside. Swami spoke for 2 hours about something. I don't know what he spoke. But that in those 2 hours, this question kept on going around in my mind. I asked myself, this is a deadly combo, Where do you get someone who can be so loving and who knows everything about you? If you know little about someone, we spread word around. That fellow, that kind of a thing. But here is Swami who knows everything about you, but will not let you down. So I said, this must be God. And that was the way I connected with him. Swami had come into our home in 1968, but when this incident happened, he came into my heart. And that day onwards, my life completely changed. I decided that he was the God I would worship. He was the God I would serve. And he has, to this day, has blessed me with this privilege, this honor, and I hope this continues till the last breath of my life. So there's nothing greater than this, speaking about him, thinking about him, feeling his presence. These are the greatest things that can happen to us. So then I joined Brindavan College. When I joined Brindavan College, I was still that street smart kid from a metro, who had gone into the school. And there was a part of me which was still kind of over smart. I used to sit in the mathematics classes. Mathematics would kind of go bouncers, at least 2 feet above the head. And that teacher who was teaching us was a very seasoned old professor. And he would teach so well, but nothing entered, It went only through the ear, conduit from this side to that side. Nothing stayed back. So maths was always a terror for me. And there were students in our class, I'm sure they are there across generations, who would sit in the front row. And when the teacher asked, have you understood? They would shake their head so much, the teacher thought the whole class is understood. And he had short sight. He could see only the front rows. And so we were all kind of blur for him, just as mathematics was a blur for us. So the mathematics exam came. Okay. So I told myself, no problem. Divine grace is always there. So I will go in the morning. We used to go to Swami's room. We could go anytime we wanted. We could go to Swami's room. And before the exams, I'll go take namaskar. And then you come back and write the exam fortified with that namaskar. But if you think in 6 ways, God thinks in the 7th way, they say. Shannam manushya chintanam, saptamam daiva chintanam, it is said. You think in 6 ways, God will think in the 7th way. So that day, as soon as I entered Swami's room, I found that Swami was very angry. And he was pulling up the caretaker of the ashram, Mr. Ram Brahma, saying, Neeku buddhi ledu, brainless, you're wasting lot of money. And then I entered, hey, Kadra, he said. I was included in that privileged group. Whatever it was, I didn't know which group it was. Swami said, come here. Nu cheppu. Come on. Tell me, inti nunchi enta dabbu vastundi? How much money do you get from home? I said, Swami, 100 rupees. 100 rupees was like, 100 rupees, it's not much. Although in those days, 100 rupees could fetch you something. Today, of course, you can't give 100 rupees to a beggar. If you give 100 rupees, he'll give you 500 rupees and say, your need is greater than mine. So 100 rupees, Swami said, come on, tell me, how do you use this 100 rupees? I said, Swami, mess bill. Mess bill, yenta? Swami said, 65 rupees, Swami. For the whole month, it was just 65 rupees, which is less than $1. Okay. So it's about 80 cents for the whole month. And the warden had such a horrid time trying to increase this from 65 to 70. He tried his best at convincing Swami. Swami said, nothing doing, keep it at 65. After many years of persuasion, finally one day he thought he won. Swami had told, okay, increase it to 70. And so he came to the hostel, he asked all of us to assemble and asked the audiovisual members to set up the mic and all. While they were setting up the mic, someone came running and said, sir, Swami is calling you. He went back and Swami said, what is tomorrow? He said, Swami, tomorrow is Ugadi. So Swami said, you want to announce this on the eve of Ugadi? Nothing doing. Keep it at 65. So it remained 65 for a number of years. Okay. Now I said 65. Swami said, very good. Give me accounts for the other 35 rupees. Quick thinking, I said, haircut. Swami said, how many times do you have in a month? Only once. Then I said, Swami, soap. Swami said, how many bars of soap do you use in a month? I didn't want to answer that. Obviously, only one bar. And you know, in those days, even the soaps are also cheap. It was just 1 rupee 30 paise or something. And I used all my ingenuity, and finally, I could only bridge 10 rupees. 25 rupees were still looming large. And I'm thinking, mathematics exam there. I run away from that thinking I'll be saved here. Here, accounts exam has started. And then Swami says, you're wasting a lot of money. Your father is struggling there. After Swami had cured him, he had to work very hard. He's struggling there, and look at you, wasting so much money. And just then, the bell rang for the exam. The next building was the exam. Swami said, exam unda? Do you have exam? I was stunned. I mean, is it an exam which you can talk in light terms like this? It was a mathematics exam. Undi Swami, I said. Breakfast chesava? Did you have breakfast? No, Swami. Go to hostel, have your breakfast, go and write the exam. One thing I had learnt, implicit obedience. Went and had breakfast, okay, and went to the hall, 20 minutes late. My mathematics teacher was waiting outside. Ravi Kumar, what happened? What happened? He asked. He thought I had given up the battle before it began. So I said, no, sir, it's a long story. He said, yeah, go inside. Otherwise, if you go after half an hour, they won't give you the question paper. So I went inside. One look at the question paper, and I was ecstatic because the question paper consisted of 8 theorems. Theorems are something you don't need to use your brains. Memory cells will do. Okay, RAM is not needed. Okay, memory cells will do. So I said, okay, fine. I will. Now the question is, should I get 100 or 120? So I started writing. And the first question itself, halfway down the question, these mathematicians have this bad habit. I hope none of them are around. Have this bad habit of putting some booby traps here and there. There was a substitution. Let x be equal to what? I didn't remember. And I waited for a few minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Then I said, okay, looks like there's no luck here. Let me go to the next question. In the next question, there was one more substitution. Let y be equal to. X itself, we are not sorted. Where is y going to yield? Okay. So like this, from one problem to next problem to next problem. And then before anything, I heard the bell, the final bell. And the invigilator came and said, papers. I looked at my paper. Not one theorem answered. All broken debris, fractured theorems lay like that strewn. And I thought, my gain is your loss. And gave it to the teacher. The teacher took it and went away. I just came out. I found my maths teacher was still waiting there. And he said, Ravi Kumar, how have you done your exam? And I said, sir, I'm very touched. He was shocked. What is this? He said, nobody gets touched by a mathematics exam. I said, no, sir, it's not that. Sir, for my examination, you come before me and then wait for 3 hours to find out how I have answered. So this kind of teachers only in Swami's college will get, sir. That's why I'm touched. He says, no, Ravi Kumar, you got it all wrong. If you pass, we'll get 10% result. I wanted to know the future of the results. That's why I waited. Okay, so I sat with him. And then I told him, sir, this question I have answered this much. This question I have answered this much. Like that, the entire paper we went through. And then I expectantly looked at him and said, sir, will I pass? He mopped his brow. And he said, Ravi Kumar, this exam is written by 40,000 students across the state. And we don't know who is going to value your paper. But if the person who values your paper, on that particular day, he has not had a torrid time at home, wife and children all fine, and he comes and sees your paper first, in that pleasant mood, he may even give you 35. And 35 was the brink. 34 was fail, 35 was pass. So you can imagine, all these conditions being satisfied, it's too much to expect. So that whole holiday, I was wondering what's going to happen. And then Swami took me to Mumbai for a drama, Bhajagovindam drama. Okay. And the drama was a huge success. I'll come back to that a little later. It was such a huge success on the last day. Swami took us for sightseeing. Okay. And he said, as we finished the sightseeing, Swami looked at me and said, you come to Patti. So I went to Patti, and there Swami called me for an interview and asked me, what do you want? This is a question which sages and saints and tapasvins have been waiting for. Lord appears in front of them and asks, what do you want? They do tapas for thousands of years and then God. So Swami is asking me like that. This thing was very clear. Swami, maths lo pass kavali. I must pass in mathematics. Swami said, Adaipoindi. Verem kavali. What else do you want? I said, I don't want anything. I felt God had stretched himself too much to make me pass. This much enough. And so Swami said, that's over. And 1 month later, our results came. When the results came, we were just a small group, so all the hostel students, we would be around Swami. And the principal gave the marks card to Swami. Swami would see our marks card and call our names and give it to us. So he saw the marks card. He said, Ravi Kumar, and gave it to me. And he went to the next name, Santosh. He said, Chusava, marks card, Chusava. Did you see your marks card? I said, yes, Swami, I have passed. Because in red letter, it was written, pass. Swami said, see your mathematics mark. And it was 53. And Swami said, but you wrote for 35 marks. How did you get 53? I had not told him. This was the opinion of the teacher. And Swami said, you wrote for 35, but you end up with 53. How did it happen? I said, I don't know. You did something. And Swami said, yes. I changed the marks for you. He said, no, you also change. Start studying from now. And I must tell this in all humility, that when I finished my studies in Swami's college, I had got a university rank, and I was very proud of it. Went and stood in front of Swami's room. Swami came out. Emi samacharam? He asked. Swami, pada namaskar. Induku? Why? Why do you want pada namaskar? Swami, I have got a rank, university rank. In those days, they used to put those who get university rank, their photographs will be put in the front page. Today, of course, they put only dacoits photo and all, terrorists. If you're a rank holder, nobody, somewhere in the 5th page, one small column they'll put. So I was very happy. I told Swami said, that is fine. How much did you get in mathematics? And I had an answer for that. I thought I had made great strides in mathematics. I said, Swami, I got 90. And Swami said, Chi, adi oka marka? Is that a mark? In mathematics, you must get 100 out of 100. Even 99 want to do. You must get 100 out of. So that is what is Swami, of course. Only with His grace we can score 100 out of 100. That word 100 means so much, because we realize that in that 100, if you remove that one, only zeros are there. Only because Swami is there with us, we are something. So all these 100 years, that is the difference He has made to all our lives and to the lives of millions. He has been that one which has given value to the lives of all the people. Okay, so this is what happened at that time. I have just 10 minutes. I will see if I can quickly. Okay, so the first pre-university when I joined, Swami decided that we'll put up a drama in front of him for the college day. The college day was on March 22nd, 1975. And Swami chose the drama Bhajagovindam for that. And he selected us. He told, you come, like that. And he selected, in this drama, we had Shankaracharya and 14 disciples. Okay? And Shankaracharya would take these people all over. He used to go on foot throughout the country. And he himself was a walking encyclopedia. But the way to teach, it was a Gurukul. And this was a moving mobile university. He would take these students to various locations, various situations, situation analysis he would do. Today we have case study, we do like that, situation analysis. And he would teach them the importance of worshipping the Lord in all circumstances. So this is basically the background. So he takes these students to the banks of the Ganges river. And there is a Pandit, 90-year-old, who is memorizing the rules of Panini grammar, Sanskrit grammar, very tough. And he asks him, what are you doing? He says, I'm getting the grammar rules right. What are you doing this for? Because the king will reward me, my scholarship. After that, what? I don't know. Then Shankaracharya tells him, see, there is one journey which is inevitable. Prepare for the journey, you're almost on the brink. Okay? And that is a journey called death. At that time, this Panini grammar won't help you. At that time, only the name of the Lord, if it is on your lips, that alone will help you. So, Bhajagovindam, right. So, this drama was to be put up. There are a number of scenes. I won't go into the details because the time is not there. Much time is not there. Okay. So, we put up this drama in Swami's presence, and I remember the wonderful impact it had, because this drama had, Swami used to say, it has all the messages that I want to give in one place is there, he used to say. In fact, this drama was put up in Swami's presence 10 times, including on Swami's 50th birthday night. There were so many great ustads and pandits like Ravi Shankar, Allaraka, and all of them. And they wanted to have a music program on that day. So I said, no, I want my boys to put up Bhajagovindam. And so this Bhajagovindam drama was such a beautiful drama. Okay. That day night, after the drama was over, we went into the mandir. There was a chief guest, the revenue minister of the state, Huchmasti Gowda, his name was. Swami was talking to him, and Swami said, look at these boys, how brilliant they look, There's so much of auspiciousness which gets added when they come in, The whole room was lit up. And he said, yes, Swami, it is so important that we have spiritual people. Then Swami said, yes. He said, Kavi, Kadi, and Kaki. All these should be fine. Then the society will be fine. What is Kavi? Kavi is saffron robe. That is the saints and sages and the spiritual people. They should all be true to their calling. Okay. Then Khadi is, of course, the security forces, the police and the military, and the Khadi is the politician. Okay. When the rulers, the security people, and the spiritual people all are doing their duties fine, Swami said, society itself will blossom. Okay. The beautiful thing I remember is after the minister went away, Swami called all of us, and he gave each one us a bowl into which he put fruit salad and gave. And he said, you all have made me happy today. I will fill your life with happiness. Just one little act you do, the Lord gets pleased. Is Sulabha Prasannaya Namaha, that is the 107th name. After chanting all the names, you realize that, in fact, there was a Pandit who was reading about all these Shodashopachara, all the 16 steps you worship God with. He had written one on Swami's life, how to worship Swami. And he explained all this in great detail. And Swami called Professor Kasturi outside and told him to make an announcement. What was the announcement? It is okay if you worship me like this, but if you just do it with sincere heart and love for me, that is enough. Shortcuts everywhere. God knows this is Kali Yuga. 16 steps. When we are in the second step itself, we'll remember the metro. You have to catch the metro. Our minds are somewhere else. Okay, so this drama made such a mark. The next day morning, there's a beautiful scene. And there was, all the elders were there around Swami. And there was Mr. Indulal Shah, who was the World Council chairman at that time. Then he was telling Swami, this drama definitely you should put up in Mumbai, Swami. Swami said, why? Swami, because there are a lot of people who have a lot of money. Okay? They need the sobering effect, the message from this drama. And then there was Mr. Sohan Lal. He was the state president of the Delhi state. So he said, no, Swami, this should be put up in Delhi. Because in Delhi, you have all the crowned heads, all the people with power. That might be power of money, but these are the people who really call the shots. So, Swami, we should have it in Delhi. And then there was Mr. Balakrishna Eradi, the youngest justice of the Supreme Court. He was at 35, he became a justice of the Supreme Court. He said, no, Swami, we should have it in Kerala. Swami said, why? Bombay, you can understand. Delhi, you can understand. Why Kerala? He said, Swami, because Shankaracharya was born in Kerala. So we should have drama there. Then they were discussing among themselves, maybe we should hire a train, a bogie in a train. These boys should go from city to city to put up this drama. They put up in a particular city, then get into the train, go to the next city, put up like that. And Swami just dismissed it with, they are students, not drama troupe, Swami said. So forget it. But what happened was, that summer, Swami took us to Mumbai for this drama. We were supposed to put up this drama in Shanmukananda Auditorium. I remember that was also the day when the Sarvadharma Aikya Prema Stupa was being inaugurated. This stupa was the one which was inaugurated in Swami's 50th birthday, before the one in Prashanti Nilayam. And as we went there, I remember there was a young boy who was singing so beautifully. Swami was so happy. Swami went and hugged him and said, oh, it's so beautifully you sang. You come for my birthday. And you know who that boy was? Today is known all over the world as Anup Jalota. It's a young boy. So, Shanmukananda Auditorium, this is where we put up the drama. And the next day, I think I have time just for this. The next day, we were sitting around Swami, and Swami said, hey, they have arranged for you to go shopping. Why don't all of you go for shopping and sightseeing? We said, no, Swami, we don't want to go. Because Bombay is always going to be there. But this privilege of being with you, we will not always get. So we want to be here only, we don't want. Swami said, no, it's not right. See, they have taken so much effort. You should go. Then Professor Kasturi came in. Professor Kasturi was so sweet, he would always, he knew what the pulse. So Swami asked, hey, Kasturi, these people have arranged for some shopping. Will you go? Yes, Swami, I'll go. Swami said, Chi, no shame. See my boys. At this age, so much vairagyam. They want only Swami. Like that, Swami said. Because Kasturi sir was telling that only for getting us that extra brownie points. Okay. After that, Mr. Indulal Shah came and Swami said, Dekho, Indulal Shah, my boys, they have no desires except one. So, they want to see Bombay with me, arrange a bus. So, we went for sightseeing with Swami. Okay. And the beauty, I tell you, is, so Swami got into the car, we got into the bus, mini bus, and when the Mumbai people arranged, they arranged real. For Swami, and it's so grandly. A beautiful air-conditioned bus, and Swami's car was going just in front, and we were so excited. Swami's leading the way and we are following. And then what happens at one place, Swami suddenly gets down and gets into the bus. I was sitting next to the steps. I suddenly looked and all the seats were occupied, so I stood up. I said, Swami, please sit here. And then Swami said, if I sit here, where will you sit? Then I said, no, Swami, I like to stand. And Swami said, no, come, we'll adjust. You sit, if both of us can. Of course, Swami is so thin, So, Swami took us around Mumbai for 4 hours. And he showed us, this place is Sai Datta's studio. This I inaugurated. This is Vallabhbhai Patel Stadium, where I used to give discourse. And this is the Gateway of India. This is the Taj Hotel. And ikkada, he said, we went to Chaupati beach. Ikkada emo pani puri, emo amtaru. Some pani puri, something they sell, like that. And we returned to the mandir. As I was telling you, when we were returning, Swami looked at me and said, come to Patti. So that completes a full cycle. I will end it here because I'm just on finishing on time. Thank you, Swami, for this privilege.